It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege of interviewing the SUNY Morrisville Mustangs head women's ice hockey coach, Coach John Briggs. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you, Brandon?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college women's ice hockey?
Yeah. So my path to coaching in general was quite fortunate. I would say in general, I knew I wanted to coach since I was pretty young. Knew I wasn't the best hockey player, so it wasn't going to be the end goal for me with that. I come from a long line of coaching with my family as well, mostly on the figure skating side. So still on the ice rink, but now a different sport. And really kind of got my chance on the women's before I did with the men on the coaching side, and it stuck. Ended up loving it. Started with the high school, then went to college pretty quickly. So again, right place, right time, some of the things, but it definitely led me down the path that I think I was meant to be into.
What was that experience like growing up with a coaching family in figure skating?
Well, first I started in figure skating, so that was the best skaters are figure skaters. So I started in figure skating, and that was interesting, and I changed to hockey pretty quickly. But it was interesting. I mean, for me, my family in general will coach such a wide variety of athletes of different levels. So it was really cool to see. One day he's coaching young children, and the next day he's coaching an Olympic pair team who's prepping for the Olympics or for the World Championship, and so being able to kind of see the differences and the time level and the time commitment that each one's had to put in, and kind of how he had to prep for them differently was really interesting and cool. And then obviously to have the experience to be able to kind of see how it played out on TV or online was an added bonus.
How was that experience like for you getting to play professional ice hockey?
Yeah, so when I went over to Scotland, I played for the semi-professional team over there, and did a lot of practices with them, and kind of started to get into that team, and it was really cool. Definitely a lot different than North American hockey, I'll say that, or even a lot of European hockey. The hockey over in the UK it's rapidly growing, and it's getting to such a good place, which is fantastic to see. But again, I was there for 1 year. It was nice. I was close to my family. I enjoyed playing hockey while doing school, but I always knew it wasn't going anywhere, crazy. So when it was time to stop, it was a pretty easy decision, and to get into the coaching career pretty quickly was nice.
How was that transition like going from being a semi-pro and playing in Scotland to coming over to the US and first coaching for SUNY Cortland?
Yeah, it was definitely difficult at times, I'd say, because I miss it. I mean, I still miss playing hockey. I miss getting on the ice and actually, playing the game and being a part of the practices and all that kind of stuff. So, it's definitely something that even to this day I miss, and I wish I could have. But at the same time, I wouldn't give up what I'm doing for the world. So when I first got into Cortland, it was a great feeling to be back on the ice, to be back around hockey, especially because right when I came to Cortland was when COVID really hit. So my first 2 years at school at Cortland was pretty limited with COVID, and then I got back and got into the becoming the assistant coach, and not only was it nice to be back in the rink after COVID, but it was nice to be back in the rink after thinking that I was done with the rink. From a hockey perspective, and getting that opportunity pretty quickly.
How was that experience like getting to be assistant coach for SUNY Cortland?
It was great. Cortland is a fantastic athletic school. They do everything the correct way. And being able to be an assistant coach under Rick Filgara, who's still the head coach over at SUNY Cortland, was fantastic. I mean, he's coached at the Division I, at prep school, Division III levels. So he had a lot of knowledge that I was able to, he was able to share with me, and I was able to grow from him. But being a part of a school with that kind of repertoire, and that coach with that kind of experience is something that I'm very fortunate for, because it allowed me to get to my next step again at such an early age, and led me to Morrisville, which I'm forever grateful, for my time at Cortland for leading me here.
What was that experience like being an assistant coach, and what did some of the things that you learned?
So being the assistant coach is definitely, compared to the head coach, it's a lot more stress-free. I'll say that right off the bat. You have a lot of responsibility, but at the end of the day, when you're the assistant coach, it's great because those relationships tend to come a little bit easier with the athletes. That's who they look for sometimes. So it was definitely, a great experience being the assistant coach, getting to, know the girls on the team, getting to learn from Rick, and just in general, learn from, all the other coaches who, at this point, when I was working there's coaches who have moved up to the Division I level for other sports, and learning from them as well was a, fantastic addition to just coaching.
While at SUNY Cortland, what was that experience like being a head club coach for the women's ice hockey program?
That was a lot of fun. Club hockey team was they were newer. So that the first year I was with them, we actually we were set to become a ACHA hockey team the next year. Unfortunately, then I took the job at Morrisville, so I wasn't able to be a part of them, competing within the ACHA. But that was a lot of fun. It really reminds you when the girls are playing club hockey, it's a lot different than the NCAA, because club hockey, it's late night practices. It's it's not like you're funded through the school as much. So, these girls wanted to be on the ice. They wanted to play hockey. That was the most important thing to them. So, making sure you're getting to that point where I'm on the ice with people that just want to be there more than anything else was a great experience for me. And it kind of brought me back to my playing days a lot more, because it reminded me that, this is what hockey's all about. The fun, there's competition, but it's a lot of fun, and it's the best sport in the world, in my opinion, for that exact reason.
What were some of the things that you learned as the club head hockey coach to help you over to coming to Morrisville to become a head coach?
It was definitely, I would say, a necessary, learn or experience for me, to make this transition the way I did, to Morrisville. That helped me a lot in the ways of running practice, of managing the team. Yeah, the team was a bit smaller. Yeah, it wasn't, as competitive. At Cortland, we were on, and Morrisville, we're on the ice 6 times a week. And then for the club team, we're on the ice 2 to 3 times a week, depending on our game schedule. So just still being able to learn how to manage the athletes, to manage the schedule, to make practice plans, to, be up there where the girls are listening to me, for that whole practice. With the NCAA team, I got to run drills for sure at Cortland, and I was definitely a big part of the practice. But when you're that only coach out there, it's a little bit of a different experience, and the girls, all eyes are on you. I'll put it that way. So it was a good learning experience for me, and helped me transition to being the head coach at Morrisville. Make that transition just that much easier for me.
What was that feeling like when you got announced to become the next head coach for the women's ice hockey program at SUNY Morrisville?
Yeah, it was a really good feeling. It's kind of tough to still put into words. It was only about a year and a month or two ago. I've only been here for one season, so there's still a lot that I feel, we are going to accomplish, and a lot that I still want to do and implement into the program. But that feeling, it was, words really don't describe it. Being able to step into a program that has, a short, we've only been a program for about 7 years, but the success that they've had in those 7 years, coming into a program that has won before and is used to winning is something that was also really, really, I'm really fortunate for. So it was an unreal feeling, to put it the least.
After getting announced to become the next head coach, what was that feeling like stepping onto that ice as a head coach?
I'd be lying if I said it wasn't nerve-wracking. I'll definitely be lying at that point. It was that whole time I was making the practice plan for the first time. I just wanted everything to be perfect. Luckily, my assistant coach, who's still with me this year, Monica, who I actually coached at Cortland for 2 years, she definitely helps me calm my nerves a lot. I like to overthink sometimes, so she's kind of there to calm me down, and she definitely did when we got on the ice. I mean, she was nervous as well, but it was a great feeling stepping on that ice, realizing, hey, you don't need to be perfect. The girls are happy you're here. I'm happy I'm here. We're gonna have a lot of fun. And once that got through my head, and it happened very quickly, everything on my end was a lot of fun as well. So after that first nerve wracking experience, it was good.
How was that feeling like the first time you got a win as a head coach for Morrisville?
That was also a surreal feeling. Lots of feelings that are a little hard to put into emotions. Because at the end of the day, they're feelings that I feel like I've been working, or they're goals that I feel like I've put into place a long time ago, and to be able to achieve them at a young age is fantastic. But to be able to achieve them at all is really what matters. So having that first win was great, but more importantly, watching the girls and how much fun they were having, and that experience of being able to share my first win with a group of girls that I wouldn't want to share it with anybody else. I'll remember the day. I'll remember, everything about it, and to be able to share it with the girls that we had, and Monica, and everybody else that was there it was a great feeling.
As a young head coach, what is it like getting to go against some of these other head coaches that have been in the schools and the programs for years?
Yeah, the SUNYAC is a very competitive league, and within the league we have a lot of coaches with just. I mean, there are some coaches that have coached longer than I've been alive. So when you put it that way, it's definitely kind of makes me take a step back and realize how fortunate I am to be here. But at the same time, how much knowledge they have, and what they've been through. It really it's never me versus another coach, right? And that's what it really comes down to. So being able to chat with these other coaches, and hopefully learn a little bit from them, being able to see how they operate is something that I'll never take for granted. Again, we're in such a strong division with some really strong programs and coaches, and it's great to learn from them, and great to be able to share my experiences with them, and their experiences with me.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a coach versus for your athletes?
So for me, I get in, nice and early. I'm always in, pretty early. The girls, I really can't say, when they're up and about, but I like to be at the rink nice and early. I really just want to make sure that when they get here, it's a very stress-free environment. I'm prepared. Everything for them that needs to be prepared is there and ready to go. So that when they walk in, they're ready to fire on all cylinders. So it's a bit of a longer day for me, but again, it's to make sure that the girls have every opportunity for success. For the girls, they're here about 2.5 hours early. So that's for a normal home game, but about 2.5 hours, 2 hours early, regardless home or away, is when they start prepping for the game. So it's a mental battle. It's a long time being mentally, prepared, and making sure that you're in the right mindset pretty early on, and it's a long game, 2 hour game. So it's a tough day for them, and anything I can do to help make it a little easier for them is always my goal. But at the end of the day, again, they're at the rink, they're having fun. I'm at the rink, I'm having fun, and that's the most important thing.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
So we right now are a 17 conference. So we have SUNY Plattsburgh, SUNY Cortland, Buffalo State, SUNY Potsdam, SUNY Canton, and SUNY Oswego. So really strong conference out of that. Out of the 7 teams, including us, 3 of those teams are top 15 teams in the nation, rightfully so, including one of the Plattsburgh has one of the most one of the best legacies of any women's hockey program in the history. So to be competing against them 3 times a year it's a privilege. It really is, and it's a great test for our girls to know what the expectation is and where we're going to be one day and how we're going to compete in the nation.
What is that atmosphere like getting to compete against those different SUNY schools like SUNY Pottsburg?
Yeah, so it's definitely good. It's really just everything we do is learning, right? Is taking steps to progressing as a better human being, as a better athlete. So playing teams like Plattsburgh, playing teams like Cortland, Oswego, who are these top teams in the country, and then we go down and every team in our league is competitive. So every game's a battle, and when you play those couple teams up there that have that consistent national success, it's something where yeah, it's tough, but it's something we want to do. We make our non-league schedule very competitive so that we can compete against these top teams in the nation, and we know we belong there. Now it's just taking the next step to winning those games and showing everybody else that we belong, because we know we belong. It's getting that point across to everyone else.
Who are some of those notable non-conference teams that you compete against?
Yeah, so this upcoming year, we'll be playing Nazareth, WNE, Hamilton, all teams who have made the NCAA tournament. We're hosting a tournament with actually WNE, who I just mentioned, Nazareth, who are we play a single game against them, at their place, and then they come down to us, and Elmira, who just finished. They were the runner-ups to. In the NCAA Division III championship, so they had a fantastic season. And so, we play that really competitive schedule. A lot of nationally ranked teams, a couple of NESCAC teams in there, which is also considered one of the stronger divisions in Division III hockey. So, we're very fortunate with the schedule we get to play and the competition we face on a daily basis.
What is that like getting to see some of those teams that you don't see very often?
It's fun. Everything is when it comes to playing hockey, it should be enjoyable. So getting to see these teams that we don't get to play often, and having that 1-game series or maybe a 2-game series, it's nice for the girls, right? They get to have that different experience playing a different style of hockey because every team's different, and get to play those teams who are, again, ranked in the nation at such a high level. Just helps us prepare for our league and our league championships and playoffs. So everything we do, definitely has a purpose that leads back to us getting better as as an individual and an athlete.
What is that home game atmosphere like when teams like SUNY Portland comes to your home facility?
Yeah, so it's always nice. With us, we have such a good location where Cortland and Oswego are so close that those games are always fun because you have lots of parents and family and friends from not only our program but from their program as well coming down. We host a couple of specialty nights like Make-A-Wish, which we actually did against Cortland, where we did a game at our place for Make-A-Wish, and then they did a game at their place the next day against us for Make-A-Wish. So we really try to get the community involved as much as possible, but especially when we play those local teams, it makes for a fun game. It's no beating around the bush. It's never going to be that men's hockey atmosphere, or at least not right now. Never say never. Obviously, I think our play of hockey is so much fun to watch, and that women's side is fantastic to watch. But it's gonna come down to how do we continue to grow the game? How do we continue to grow the atmosphere, get the community involved, and the school basis involved, and the student athletes.
How's that experience like getting to play teams like SUNY Portland, where you said maybe one day you play at home, but then the following day you're going to be playing away?
Yeah, so playing those 2-game sets are always interesting, right? Because sometimes what happens that first game carries over that second game, so it really is important to have that mental reset. Regardless if you win, lose, whatever may happen, yesterday is yesterday, right? So mentally resetting to make sure that we can be at our best for that second game is really important. And then, with some teams that are more local where we do a home and home, it's definitely interesting. They come to us one day and they're right back home, and then we come back to them the next day and we're right back home after the game. So little bit of, we're both traveling, we're both doing what we need to do. But at the end of the day, it's just about making sure that we can get that mental reset in, making sure that whatever happened that last day doesn't carry over to the next game, whether it be positive, negative, it doesn't matter. The next day is a new day.
As a head coach, how do you keep your players motivated when playing those back-to-back games?
Yeah. For me, I don't like to think that my job's about motivation. I don't think as a coach you should have to motivate. The athletes on our program specifically, I could speak to our program, not everybody else's, but our athletes are motivated by themselves. They want to win. They're competitive people, or else they wouldn't want to be playing an NCAA sport. So they're very competitive. There's not much I have to do to get them to a point where they are ready for that game, and they feel like their competition's right, their mindset's right, all that kind of stuff is in place. Again, really what I'm there for is trying to just make sure that everything is, I give them the best opportunity for success. The motivation part, it really falls on them a lot because they want to win. I'm not asking them to win. They want to win more than anything else.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you've built for SUNY Morrisville?
Yeah, so culture's our most important thing. That's something that we will always build this program around. It's something that when I took over this program a year ago was our main focus. I think the two easiest, or not easiest, but the two best words to explain, how we built our culture and how we're going to continue to build our culture is accountability and vulnerability. Making sure that the girls are holding themselves accountable, but also holding each other accountable. Realizing that there are expectations within this program when you're a student, as an athlete, as a human being, getting involved within the culture and the school. It's all very important. And then vulnerability is so important. Being able to be yourself is just the best skill you can have. Right. So being able to open up to each other, it's not easy, but it's something that allows tough conversations to flow a lot easier. Right. Because you've built that reputation with each other through that vulnerability, through allowing yourself to open up with each other. So although culture is a very difficult thing, and I could be on this I could be on this interview for an hour and a half just talking about culture. But I really think those are the two main words that come to mind. How we really look at culture and how we focus on it.
What does that recruitment process look like? And as a head coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
So recruitment, I think the biggest thing, and then for anybody watching this who is going through the recruitment process, I think the biggest thing is to realize that everybody's recruitment process is different, right? No one, it's so easy to look at your friend and say, "Oh my God, she committed somewhere, and I need to commit," and that's just not how it is, right? The recruitment process is based on you as an individual or you as a family, and that's what the most important thing is. It's the same for the coaches. Every coach's recruitment process is so much different. What we look for as coaches could be different. How we value or not value, how we evaluate players is different. So there's so much up in the air. But my biggest thing, for me and what we look for, is just the good human beings and the right people for our program. Making sure that I think they could be a culture fit for us is massive. Making sure that they can come in here and they could gel with the girls. And yeah, it's a process, but they could gel with the girls, and we can build that relationship is the most important thing for me.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those prospective student athletes fall in love with the Morrisville facility and the campus?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. The best feeling in the world is when you bring a girl back to the office after the tour, and they're like, "This feels like home." That means first of all that this could be a great fit for them, but we also do a good job with our facilities, making sure that they feel like this is a place where they can see themselves succeeding. So it really is a great feeling. We're fortunate with our facilities to have what we have with our staff. As an athletics department, as an athletic training staff. I'm beyond fortunate for everything that we can offer, and I think a lot of the student athletes see that as well, especially with our rink and our locker room and some of the areas we have for our athletes.
As a head coach, what is it like getting to see those freshmen put on that black and white Morrisville uniform for the first time?
Yeah. So, for me, last year, it was the first time I saw any of these girls put on a Morrisville jersey. That first game we played was really special. Yeah, we had a freshman. We had a very, by the time I took over, there weren't many girls that I could recruit. So we had one freshman, and this year I'm excited. We have about, 6 or 7. So it'll be a little bit of a change. But in general, last year was the, first time I saw any of these girls put on the jersey. And, you can see what it means to them. Not only do they want to win, not only do they want to compete and, they want to, do themselves the right way and make themselves proud. They also want to make the school proud. So it's definitely great to see that. And at the end of the day, they put on those jerseys and they have fun. And again, that's the most important thing for me is that they're having fun.
As a head coach, what will that feel like to get to see those seniors putting on that jersey for the last time?
Yeah, it's a mixed emotions, right? So like we had our senior night or our obviously we lost in the playoffs this year and so only one team gets to end the season on a win that matters. So every other team ends the season on a not as pleasant note. So you never think the last game is going to be your last game, but when it is, it's always mixed emotions, right? We had a couple graduated players this year, and to see them after their last game realize what they've accomplished and what they've done throughout their 4 years, not only as an athlete but as a student, as a human being, growing as a person, was fantastic, and you could see it. But at the same time, they also didn't want to leave; they wanted to be here. So it's tough to see it, but it's definitely something that you never think it's going to end until it ends. You got to enjoy everything you have.
As a head coach, what is it like getting to see those seniors putting on that last jersey and then their first PWHL jersey?
Yeah, so I have when I was over at Cortland, we had one girl who ended up going over to Europe to play hockey. Um, obviously the goal is to help as many girls figure out their path and play professional hockey, that want to do it. But it's just it was great for her. It was great for us to see her, continuing to have fun, play hockey, doing what she loves, and at the same time getting over to Europe and having a different experience. So, that's something that we constantly talk about with all our student athletes. How can I get you to play your best hockey when you start getting recruited by these professional teams and get looked at by some of these scouts and stuff like that. So that's kind of a constant conversation we have, and it's something that's really important because those girls who want to keep playing, they want to keep doing it because they love it. So watching them continue that is a great feeling. Knowing that they're enjoying themselves, knowing that this is what they want to do, knowing that they put all this hard work and their time and effort into it to get to that point, and it worked out for them.
As a head coach, what is it like getting to see those freshmen achieve those big milestones in their career, like first hat tricks, first goals?
So it's always special for anybody, regardless of your age, to have an accomplishment like that. It's tough to score in the NCAA, never mind a hat trick. So it's always nice to see the girls accomplishing, those kind of feats and those kind of goals. For our freshmen, again, I can't say that I know exactly how they feel, but I'm sure it's just how I felt when I was able to step in this program, being on the bench for my first win. For me, getting to watch them, it really allows me to see their hard work paying off, and that's again what matters to me. They're putting in the time and effort, and to have them have some rewards for that is nice to see, and it's also great for them and something they'll always remember.
What is that like getting to see those athletes out there going into coaching after their hockey career?
Yeah, I love it. I want the sport to grow, and I think the way the sport's going to grow is by getting role models who have played women's hockey into the coaching positions. I'm so grateful to have my assistant coach Monica, and again she was a player for me at SUNY Cortland. So watching her take these steps to become a coach is it's really great for me to see. Being able to help her through her coaching career and start her coaching career is fantastic. Being able to see these girls who I have coached Cortland, and then hopefully as I continue to coach at Morrisville, take those next steps that might not be playing like I didn't, but take those next steps into coaching because they don't want to leave hockey, and I think that's a testament to how great of a sport it is, what we do as a coaching staff here, and the type of people they are.
What are some of your future plans for the Morrisville hockey program moving forward?
It's our future plans are to continue to do what we're doing and trust the process and what we've put into place. Trusting what we've started from a cultural end. Culture could always get better. It's never perfect. So being able to start that culture and continue it and work on it, find better ways to do things that we might do now, and find better ways to operate will always be the goal. But it's really we put things into place our first year. Our girls who were here, our coaching staff, we sat down and we put things into place that we thought were most important as a program. And now it's going to be, how do we continue to find success in those areas? How do we continue to grow those areas? I know I keep mentioning culture, but that's one of the big ones. How do we continue to grow culture? How do we continue to find success when it comes to that aspect of the game?
What are some of your what advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college women's ice hockey?
Yeah, I would say, for me, it's the biggest thing is find your voice. Some freshmen walk in, I'm very outgoing. So I know, for me, I walked in and into this job and I was, super outgoing, and people probably were like, man, does this kid shut up? Like, come on now. So everybody's different. So some people are definitely more timid. And as you come in as a freshman, you're obviously coming into a new scenario. You're coming into college, which is completely different, coming into a new team with a new set of expectations and even systems and anything else. And the biggest thing is my biggest recommendation for them is to make sure they have a voice in it. Voice their concerns, voice when they need help. Allow yourself to receive that help. It's not you versus everybody else. We're here together, and I want to help you just like every girl on the team wants to help everybody else.
What advice would you give those college hockey players out there looking to get into the PWHL or even playing international hockey?
Yeah, my biggest thing, will always be holding yourself accountable. There's so many things that go into becoming a professional athlete. It's skill for sure. The dedication, the hard work you put into becoming better as a person and as an athlete. So there's so many different areas that you can work on and that you can say this is what I want to do. But at the end of the day, you can say all that. You got to hold yourself accountable and actually doing it. You got to make sure that if you have an off day and you're not doing something or you don't feel up to 100%, that you're not just stopping there, right? You're going to come back. You're going to do the right things the next day. And so that accountability piece is massive. And that even goes back to the freshmen, holding yourself accountable in that new program, as you continue down your college career and hopefully your professional career. It's all about holding yourself accountable and putting yourself in the best situations that you can.
What advice would you give those college women ice hockey players looking to get into coaching after their playing career?
Be yourself. That's the biggest thing. Again, I've said it. I just said it before. Like I'm very outgoing. At the same time, I like to think a lot, and I'm a little bit of an overthinker, and that's okay. I'm vulnerable with my team, and they understand who I am, and that I have my flaws. I'm the furthest thing from perfect, and I'm not afraid to admit it. And that's who I am. My biggest thing is I'll never be someone I'm not. The girls can see right through it. Or if you're, coming from a women's program going to coach men's hockey, the guys will see right through it. There's no difference when it comes to that. You got to be yourself. And if you want to do it, you got to go for it. It's about going for it, putting in the time that you got to put in, regardless if that first year, maybe you're not getting paid, but you're putting in the time and you're building your resume. It's so important.
What advice would you give those head coaches looking to get started in starting up their own ice hockey women's program?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is if you're going to take over a program, it's really about, again, yeah, you want to be yourself, right? It's so important throughout everything, but it's really about understanding that, listen, it's going to be a grind. It's going to take some time. It's going to, everything's not going to fall into your lap. You got to work for every bit of it. And it's something that, it'll get easier for sure. you start building that good reputation, you start having some success, and then people are going to notice that. But that first little bit before you do it, you got to find a way to build that reputation, to build that success. So you take over a program, it's understanding that you got to put in that time and effort, and it's going to happen, but you got to do the right things.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the program at?
Yeah, so program you can find at Morrisville WIH, and that is our X handle, Instagram handle, Facebook, anything like that. So that is the best way to do it. And then for me personally, if you ever want to contact me, my biggest thing is I'm always on the website, which we have direct links from all our social media to our website. So I'm always open for questions, comments, concerns, and to help anybody I can help. So definitely feel free to reach out to me and hopefully get a following on the team and follow along with our success coming up.
Thank you again, Coach John Briggs, for your interview and best luck in your future at SUNY Morrisville Mustangs as the head women's ice hockey coach.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach John Briggs, for your interview and best luck in your future.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.